not a big deal. Just go.
Okay. You recording? Okay. All right. Hey, what's going on, man? This is Will, and I wanted to talk today about the differences between what is called full duplex and half duplex, right? And how does this relate to Cisco devices, right? So you have a hub, right? An original device is a hub. So a hub offered what's called network segmentation. This was the first type of network segmentation, right? And then after the hub, you had a device that was called a switch, and that provided network segmentation. So a hub was half duplex, right? And a switch was offered full duplex. So this is the difference in, this was the difference between a hub and a switch. Now, what is half duplex? Let's say half duplex function similar to a walkie-talkie, right? If you have a walkie-talkie, right? This is a walkie-talkie, right? This person right here with a walkie-talkie. And this a person right here, right, with another walkie-talkie. I'm not the best drawer, but the cameraman is. So you can either send, and you can then receive, but you can't do both at the same time. So that was the concept of half duplex, right? You can send at one time and you can receive at one time. So with a hub, you can send a frame at one time, right? So what you're doing is you're sending frames, because that's what you're doing in a LAN environment. You're sending something that's called a frame. You can send at one time and you can receive at one time. So a hub, you send a frame and then you receive a frame, right? So that was the concept of a hub. So a hub was half duplex. And with a switch, it functions similar to a cell phone. If you're talking on a cellular phone or if you're talking on a cordless phone, a switch, you have full duplex in the concept that you can send and receive, right? You can, I don't know, let me see how I'm going to do this so you can understand. Well, you can send and receive at the same time. So you can send packets and receive packets. Just like, you know, you and I are talking, we can send and we can talk at the same interval. You can hear my voice, I can hear your voice at the same time. That was the concept of full duplex, and that's what a switch does. And a hub functions similar. It's a half duplex, and it's similar to a walkie-talkie. So remember, a hub, right, is like a walkie-talkie, but hubs are obsolete. So hub, we just say hub functions like a walkie-talkie, and a switch functions like a cordless phone. But hubs are obsolete, but you have to understand the difference between a hub and a switch. So okay, and another thing, a hub, all your computers are going to be, the computers are not going to be separated. How can I explain? Okay, a switch, each port that connects to each computer that connects to the switch is in what is referred to as a collision domain. What is it? Collision? Is that right? No. Wait, okay. Yeah, collision domain, right? A collision domain, so that means if you have a switch, correct? You have a switch, and these are the ports. Each particular port on a switch is going to be in its own collision domain, all right? And that is going to be advantageous. It's going to be on the collision domain. If you have a hub, I don't know exactly how you draw a hub, but each computer that's connected to the hub, right, is going to be in what's called a broadcast domain. There's going to be in a broadcast domain. Let's say that's a computer, right? Each computer connected to the hub is going to be in a broadcast domain. So when you have a whole bunch of computers in a broadcast domain, right, the potential that, as a matter of fact, okay, it's all starting to click right now. A hub functions similar, let's say a Wi-Fi, a wireless access point, or a Wi-Fi router. A Wi-Fi router, it functions similar to a hub. A Wi-Fi router, it offers us ease of access, correct? But it functions similar to a hub. But you would have a switch because each computer will be in its own collision domain. These are the building blocks. Also, you have two different type of technologies, right? That hubs and switches use, right? Well, actually, okay, so there's a technology, right? That's called carrier sense multiple access with collision detection, right? Carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. That is what a switch uses, right? So let me describe what carrier sense multiple access with collision detection is, right? Let's say if you have a street, right? I'm going to use an analogy. Let's say you have a street. Let's say you have Main Street, right? Or Broadway, right? So let's say you have Broadway and you have a street. So this is Broadway or Martin Luther King Boulevard, right? Martin Luther King, beautiful. Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, Dr. MLK Boulevard. So, carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. Let's say if you have a car, right? You have a car, and how am I going to draw this? Right? And you have a car here or something or somewhere, right? There's another car. Like I said, I'm not an artist, but both cars pull out onto the road at the same time and they crash, right? So they crash. When the cars crash, they crash into each other. Boom, boom. Hold on, I'm trying to think about this information. I'm trying to relay this in a way that I can explain it. The media, correct? The media would be, the media would detect a collision, right? The media will detect a collision. When the media detects a collision, right? I'm trying to think. Hold on. So the car, okay, so the car would be analogous to a frame, right? The car would be analogous to a frame. And I know somebody somewhere in the world is gonna they're gonna check me on this, right? But the car would be analogous to a frame, right? Because data link, well, it's not a frame. Because in the LAN, right, in the local area network, and you watch my videos, you understand about local area networks. But in the local area networks, we have frames that go across the LAN. So if two frames collide, then the media will detect a collision, and that's the oh, there, bingo. So the media will detect a collision. So that's the concept. A carrier sense multiple access, right, with collision detection. Now, when you have Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi does not use carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. Wi-Fi uses the concept of carrier sense multiple access with collision avoidance. And why? And I'm going to give recognition to Professor Carrera from Bergen Community College, but I'll never forget he said this. He said, theoretically, you can never detect a collision in the air. So Wi-Fi would use collision avoidance, and it wouldn't use collision detection. But when you have a switch is going to use collision detection, and Wi-Fi uses collision avoidance. And that's the concept of carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. You have two cars that pull out onto Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. They crash, and the media will detect a collision. And when it detects a collision, they say they have to wait. Oh, so all other devices connected to the media have to wait up a certain amount of time before they have to wait a certain amount of time for before they send frames again, right? So when you have carrier sense multiple access with collision detection, right? They say, okay, they detect the crash, right? If in the event of the crash, right? All other devices must wait before sending frames again. And that is the concept of carrier sense multiple access with collision detection versus carrier sense multiple access with collision avoidance. Okay. Trying to think. Where else are we gonna go with this? Oh, okay. And that's today's class, and I'll teach more as soon as I'll teach more. You know, cut.